Hey, my friend, here we are. Randy, your host of Building Wins Live, and can you believe it's Friday again? Separation Friday. If you're getting lazy at 3 o'clock on Friday, stop it right now. There's plenty of time to get stuff done, relax, refresh over the weekend, catch up on stuff. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Hey, I'm going to admit right off the get-go, you're going to see some different faces in just a moment because I messed up. Can you believe that? I know it's impossible to believe. My brother Wes, my producer director, is nodding in the background. I can see him. I did mess up, and we had JR on for this week, or I had him on for this week, and I messed up, and that was really in about 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So, but it's kind of going to be timely because we're going to talk about a good old Marine Corps ethos, if you will, or whatever, of improvise, adapt, and overcome, because that's what we had to do about 30 minutes ago. So today, we are going to chat with my buddy, my pal, my brother, producer, director, Wes Wyatt, and a couple other people that may pop on. I've got one on already just waiting to charge in here and chat with us today. So we're going to talk about all things 2.0, the world, where we're at, how do we adapt, how do we move forward. Yeah, it's going to be some interesting and entertaining, hopefully, stuff. So anyway, that's it. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
What up?
What's up, fellas? Oh, what a crew. What a trio, hey?
This
This
is
is the trio, the Three Stooges.
Yeah, I want to be Curly, though. I do Curly quite well. Isn't that Curly? Yeah.
Why, you wise guy?
I think Bam can be Mo. What do you think?
I could be
Yeah,
Mo.
he's got
Very
a
easy.
Mo.
Yeah, Mo. Well, anyways, as you can see, the Eric Bam is on with my it's another great friend, brother and pal, and of course you all know Wes Wyatt, who's also a buddy and a pal, but also makes all this happen for Building Wins Live, and just a guru at the world of social media and virtual and visual and whatever else. So, anyways, like I said, I messed up. Realized that about 30 minutes ago, and JR Arsenault was going to be on today to chat about his life in the big leagues of photography. And he says, today? Yeah, like in about, hey, Peter, welcome. I said, he said, you mean like in about 30 minutes today? I said, okay, I'm getting nervous, yeah. And he goes, I have down the 19th. I says, well, I guess you win because if you're not in front of a camera, I guess I lose, right? So
He's the guest, right?
He was up in the mountains or hills or someplace and really couldn't do it. So we're gonna still make that work. But Eric, thanks for jumping on, buddy. And Wes, as always, we always have some great chats. So that's what it's all about, right? Sometimes you mess up, sometimes things go wrong, sometimes things happen, and you've probably never had that, Bam. Is that correct?
No,
In your life?
You know, hey, when life zigs, you zag a little bit, right?
Exactly. It's kind of like when you see a door, right, or a wall, and you can't get through it. You got choices, right? You dig under it, you climb over it, you go around it, or you make a door and get through it, right? But you don't just stop and turn and walk the other way, right?
That's it.
So,
And there goes Eric.
Eric's gone. That's all right.
He's
Hey,
gone.
he just wants to FaceTime, and he's done now.
He didn't even get a chance to tell us he had on bedazzled pants.
He didn't, and that's it. Eric, that's the way Eric is. He's probably getting a piece of pizza. He'll be back.
Hopefully that wasn't like the rapture, Randy.
It's just you and me. That's all that's left.
Oh my God.
Oh, there he is.
We're having a day, man.
We are.
Yeah, that was just we were worried that it was the rapture and that we were left.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's funny because we're kind of applicable to what we're talking about, but with the changes and all the changes we've had in the last couple of years and what we've learned and how we bounce back and forth and all those things. But now I told this story before, but remember the invasion of the body snatchers? Well, I remember, and I told the story before, so I'll shorten it up, but Tulsa, Oklahoma, going into the teeth of COVID, right? And we probably shouldn't even have been there, but we're road warriors, right? So that's what we're going because that's what we do. And I get to the airport and get checked through with 0 people in line. I'm walking around pulling my bag. Big screens are end of the world, right? It's over, And I look around and there's nobody there, and I'm going, okay, dude, you've been trying to take care of yourself, trying to work out, trying to eat right, and we've had an invasion of the body snatchers, and I didn't make the cut. And it's like that was a tough day for me, Bam.
I can imagine. You know, the crazy thing is I didn't even know you then. If I'd known you, you were stuck in Tulsa. We could have gone and had a glass of wine or 3.
We could have. And we would have. Have we done that before in Tulsa?
Yeah, we have. We have now, right?
Yeah, we have.
We've had a bottle or 3.
Yeah, we did. Seems like I'm a little concerned because it seems like Brother Wes and I have done that once or twice too.
Yeah, we have. And
Kind of a pattern with you.
Right now, I got to break in for a second. Eric, your modem precariously dangling on the windowsill is about ready to drive me up a wall. If that falls, everything stops.
It's not going anywhere. It's secure.
All right, because I just see the cord getting ready to jerk it down.
Look at that. Leave it up to the high tech.
No, it's good.
Himself.
I'm more worried about the echo we're getting in this deal. It's Randy too.
Is it me? Let me turn myself down just a little bit and see.
The show host.
Is that better?
How's that sound?
That's still echoey. I don't know.
Is it? All right. Well.
Wes, just kick him out. We'll just take over the show.
That's it. You can have it. I don't care. That means an echo. You get to hear everything I have to say twice, which will make it double the importance, right?
Yeah. So I got to tell you guys, October, big pizza month, big restaurant month, and November is kicked off with a bang this first week. And I think, not that nobody asked, but we're just talking. I think we're seeing the restaurant industry change right in front of us. COVID obviously hit and changed the way COVID hit and pushed us so far ahead in the world now where consumers are so used to ordering off apps on their phones. And fall has hit and it's colder out. Football's back. And this is going to be a huge year of catering for the holidays. We didn't have the last couple of years. You think about Thanksgiving coming up in 3 weeks, fellas, and we didn't really we had Thanksgiving, but it was different the last couple of years.
Right.
By the way, I'm officially calling COVID over. I don't know if anybody's got that notification, but it's over. It's done.
Well, what do you, Derek? Bam. No. Wes is shaking his head, or he's jiggling his desk with his knee. I'm not sure which.
Yeah, I could not disagree more. I think that COVID is going to rear its ugly head.
Why do you think
temperatures drop? And I think that it's going to be interesting to see how these restaurants compensate for it, because just last night I saw in California they're making a lot of people show their vaccination cards before they're even allowed in, and if they don't have it, they have to eat outside.
Let me clarify. I'm not saying the implications and the after effects of COVID as far as the world, but I think COVID is just. I think the actual people getting COVID, I think, is kind of over. I think we're on the downward slope big time. And I will tell you this. I think what's happening in the restaurant industry, so COVID hits, it closes restaurants. Then we have the help issue. Then we have supply chain issues. What's going to happen in the restaurant industry is we're going to see Pete's right. What we're going to see is we're going to see smaller restaurants, tighter menus, bigger delivery areas. We got comfortable as Americans with just ordering it and bring it to my house. And I think you're going to see a lot of that. I heard from one operator who's talking about doing a Friday, Saturday night, almost calling a table service fee, where you get online, you reserve a table, $25 table charge. You want a table with my best server, you're going to pay for it because they just don't have the help.
Right.
Yeah, they don't have the help, and they don't have it's very difficult for a mom and pop to operate at 50%, let alone some of these places that they've just decided that they're going to have no dining room whatsoever, all carry out.
Right.
So I think that the thing that worries me most is that if COVID is on the downslide, is it going to be the flu, or is it going to be the X factor? What's next?
I'll tell you. You want to know what's next? I'll tell you right now what's next. It's the commercial real estate business. I'm serious. We're not going back to office complexes. Like I never have, but office people that worked in offices 2 years ago are never going back to offices. And you're going to see all these buildings with empty office spaces that are going to have to be repurposed into something else because somebody's going to have to pay rent or pay a note payment or mortgage payment on all those buildings. The commercial space, the commercial industry, real estate industry is going to see big hurt coming up first of the year. Just telling you.
Yeah, no, that I agree with. I mean, I think that Randy and I have actually spoke about this, and I think Erica, early on, you and I spoke about this as well, and we probably spoke about it together on the last time you were on. But what you see in all three of us, the only person that hops on that is any different, and really probably two people, if Brian Monahan was on, if Sean Litvak was on, we might see somebody that is still kind of hovering in that, W-2 world still, but you're seeing a lot more of this where, the office is now home. And I think that what's going to happen is now that people have gotten a taste of being home with their spouse, being home with their kids, being home with their pets, for sure. There's a lot of pet people out there, or a combination of all three.
Well, and less expense.
Yeah. Oh,
less
yeah. And that's
just to have a job.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the other thing, and we spoke about this, as well, is, when I worked in corporate America, they used to say that there was no way to have the proprietary software and security at home. The VPN was not going to work. All that stuff just was not a possibility. Now that, when COVID hit hardcore, at least, what they were saying was hardcore, you all of a sudden saw people find a way.
Yeah.
It was the velociraptors on Jurassic Park, with the little footprints away from the broken eggs. Nature found a way, and then all of a sudden, it's we can do it. And I agree with you. I think that you're going to see the Zooms and the StreamYards and all that stuff is going to be much more prevalent, as well as, even though Randy's had one, I know you guys just had the Pizza Expo, and you still see Comic-Cons and a couple other things, but there's a lot of other things, like for me in the safety industry with, safety tape and signs, almost every show has went virtual. There's just not a lot
I'll tell you, Wes, I'm going to take the other side just of that part of it. I actually think all that stuff's going to come back pretty soon. I think what's going to happen for me, I think what the long-term effects of COVID is everyone working. I say everyone. People working from home that will never go back to their office ever. And the restaurant industry is going to change. It's changing right in front of us. And I think those two things, I'll tell you the other thing I think that it's literally happening right now because of the supply chain issues with things getting into the United States. We've always had this feel good, buy USA, you're going to see people legit buy USA made stuff because they can get it. And it's going to change that. I mean, we're never going to get away from getting products from China or wherever. It's just not going to happen. But I think it's causing people to I'll pay a little more and get it because I can get it and I get it local. I mean, I think those are the three big things. We're not going back to offices. We're going to buy local, and the restaurant industry and the way we dine as consumers is changing.
Well, I think changing is the best way to put it, because even though you say that stuff's going to come back, it's going to come back, but it's going to come back in the version of social distance, insanity. I mean, and what I mean by that is, let's use Comic-Con as an example. You go to Comic-Con, you lean in, although you're going to pay an exorbitant price to do it. You could take a picture with Captain Kirk. Well, now when you go, not only are they speaking to you behind a plexiglass and sliding the autograph to you like you're at a gas station in the hood at 3 a.m. It's coming under glass, but a lot of them are wearing masks. So I mean, you're there with whoever, but you're getting this version of them, from the eyeballs up. So I think that going to as an example, now Randy doesn't, but you and I wear glasses. I went in the other day to the optometrist, and I tried on a pair of frames. Okay, there we go. And as soon as I put them back, the lady rushes over, takes them over, and puts them in a box. She goes, "Oh, you can't put them back. They have to go in this box. We have to clean them first." So it's little things like that. You think about the giveaways and the tchotchke type stuff that they have at these trade shows. There's no picking up and looking at stuff anymore. Everything has to be different. So all that world is different now. It's not like the crowds of people around watching somebody do magic tricks or do a ShamWow to draw a crowd. Now everything is socially distanced, and even though it may be coming back, and I wish Brian was on here, to speak to it as to the way he's seeing it, but it's not going to come back the way it was before. And the reason why is because even if COVID takes a back seat, I have a feeling we're going to be wearing masks and distancing for half a decade. And that's assuming something doesn't pop up after it, that is the next version, whatever it is. So what do you think about that?
I feel like all I'm doing is disagreeing with you today, but I'm going to disagree with that too. I think a lot of that, having been to like Pizza Expo in Vegas, they say all the things that you need, but no one's policing it because they don't even really believe it. I think there will be a certain amount of people that will probably wear masks forever just because they will. But I'm just telling you, my gut just tells me in the next 4 or 5 months, someone's going to declare this over, and all of that stuff, it'll just go by the wayside. I think I think a lot of businesses do that stuff because they think they need to do that stuff. Right? They have to play along. I'm just telling you, I think in the next 3 or 4 months, I think a lot of that stuff's going to go away, and someone's going to come out and declare victory over COVID. And it's pretty. Will COVID be around forever at this point? Probably so.
Probably.
I hope that you're right. Just for the record, there's nothing I would like better than to see me eat a gigantic plate of crow, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'll make a banana split bet with you.
We can. Well, we have this recorded. It's much like when Tim on the penalty box said this was going to be the longest summer of baseball ever after 1 week, and the Red Sox end up making it to the American League Championship Series. So
well, Eric, I'm going to agree with you a little bit on one thing you just said. Is I'm just coming off of 2 or 3 live shows, live trade shows over the last 2-3 months. And I was in Vegas a week or so after you, or before you, I think.
You were a week before me, yeah.
Yep. And they had what do I want to call it? The obligatory we have to say.
Yep.
But I can tell you that 85 to 90% of the exhibitors, which I was one, and the attendees, the masks were not to be seen.
Yep.
There was no hassle at the door. Nobody chased us down. So, but I think that's industry to industry probably, and probably state to state, because let's face it, some states are different, and I won't even go into the political part of it, but living in Florida, I just got back this week. If you have a trade show here, they're probably going to say, take that mask and throw it in the wastebasket. We don't do that here. We just don't do that.
Right.
There's going to be some now. California, obviously, they're probably going to be tougher. That's just part of the deal that we're going to have to learn to maneuver. Literally venue, and some of it's venue related, more so I think than the show host related. They're just attempting to live within the guidelines of the city, the county, the state, whatever the case may be, right? But I have found that. And it'll be interesting because I've got the next one coming up in Nashville. I don't know how that'll be. But it's been about as the last show I was at in Tampa. Now again in Florida, 3 weeks ago. Literally, Wes, you'd have never. You could have rolled the clock back 3 years, for the most part. I'm not saying maybe 95%.
This comment right here from Mark Gassert is, to me, it's what's super telling about what's going on with COVID, is that right there. There's no mask required at sporting events. That tells me that And I don't care whether we're talking about California or Florida or Oklahoma or wherever, there's no masks at sporting events, and the numbers are on the decline. I'm telling you, I think we're a couple of months away from this thing being declared over, and a lot, 99% of 98% of people, we're always going to have this in the back of our mind. Maybe Wes has got COVID, because it's not going to go away, I don't think. But I think the worst is way past us, unless there's some another variant that kills that. We all turn into zombies or something. But I just think we're on the way on the backside of this. Just my gut, and I could be wrong. I hope I'm right, but that to me, that comment right there from Mark Gassert is spot on. And people are going to World Series baseball games, are going to college football games, NFL games, and numbers are not spiking all over the country.
Well, when you think about that, using Mark's example, number one, he's wrong on one thing. There are masks in baseball. Catcher's mask and no, that don't count, does it? Anyway, you need a want button. Anyway, but a good example of that, what you just said is any given week in any given state, and I'll use my adopted now home state of Florida, right? And I don't know this for a fact. I didn't check the schedules, but there's 3 major universities, right? Florida State, Miami, plus a bunch of the others.
Yep.
3 football teams, Miami, Tampa Bay, and Jacksonville, right?
Yep.
How many hundreds of thousands of people? And probably 98%, I'm going to guess, are just they're back to living life.
Right.
Right. So, but I do know what Wes says. The biggest concern is are we going? I say we as I don't even want to say a society, but I may get yanked off air in a minute. But we as a government, if you will, what's the next thing that's we've got an uptick of 1.5 to 1.75% of the flu. So now we all need to, because we've got trained to go ahead and just follow the lead.
We're trained in masking up now, right?
Yeah. And I think that can happen, maybe.
Here's what I see. 2 things. One, at the beginning of the call, Eric said something about when one group zigs, another person zags. So you got the cargo stuff going on out in California, but then you got Florida that opens it up. Okay. Then you got, all the stuff that I was talking about in California, with, having to show a card. And then like in your state, Randy, again, not to use, California and Florida, but you got the people that are saying, nothing, we're not doing any of that stuff. But then there definitely are, the other flip side of it is that you got I have 2 people that I know. It's not a friend's, uncle's, cousin's, third, friend, girlfriend type situation. I know somebody that's, is 50 years old, that him and his wife dropped dead 50 years old, from COVID within a week of each other. So I think what's going to happen is it's let lax. And now as that starts to happen, and as the temperatures drop, I think that's when what I was talking about is going to happen. Is, last year the baseball teams and the football teams, and they were, having to stop things just in basketball because one player would get it and then another player and another player. And so that's the kind of stuff I was talking about. I don't think it's over. And by the way, I'd love it to be. I hate wearing a mask.
You hit a point. When you said temperature, what about the temperature of and I'm just throwing this out. I'm just thinking this on the spot here, right? What about the temperature, if you will, of not as in heat, but the emotional temperature, the investment in this by mankind in general? I mean, are we getting to a point where people are saying, you know what, fine, whatever, but I'm going to go live my life? And you're going to have some people that won't. And I think that's perfectly fine. I have no issue. I'm not an anti-masker or anti-vaxxer. I'm not you do what you want to do, right? And I'll do what I think is right, and we'll all live our lives, right? But And I think that's what Eric was leading to. And so I see both sides of your stories a little bit, but I think at least what I'm hearing, Eric, tell me if I'm wrong, is that people are starting to just go, I am just done. I just am going to go to football games, as Mark said. I'm going to go to the mall. I'm going to go to trade shows, and I'm going to bro hug and shake hands. And I'm going to pick up the little coin purse and the little trinket and the little bobblehead doll, and I'm going to live my life, right? Barring, like you said, some major invasion of the body snatchers again, which I won't go. So
it's great saying that, Randy, but I got news for you. They wouldn't have been approving the vaccinations for kids, 5 to 11, if they didn't have intentions on them having it. When the temperatures start to dip and the people start to migrate to other places, because the first thing people say is, well, in California and Florida, the temperatures don't dip. Yeah, it doesn't get that way. But the problem is that snowbirds like yourself go to Florida from Michigan. Okay. They travel out other places to Vegas, to gamble and all that kind of stuff. And then what ends up happening is the government starts to say, you know what, we let you guys have the freedom, and look what happened. The numbers started getting kooky again. So around here, it wasn't that big of a deal because we're kind of self-governed in these little villages. But I think that when the teachers start to see that they can say, oh, you know what, we're not gonna go to school unless these kids are vaccinated. I think you're gonna see some wackiness. I want to let you guys know, I do not want it to be a self-fulfilled prophecy, and I hope I'm wrong. But I also know that they wouldn't spend all that time, going through and getting them, approved if they didn't have an intention of having it done. And then what you're going to see is the equivalency of not a civil war, but there's a lot of Jenny McCarthy types out there that are, not my kids, kind of a situation. And then you're going to see all sorts of division because you can't have some going and some not going. It's gonna rear its ugly head. I'll banana split it with anybody.
Well, I don't want you to win because I kind of tend to, I hate to say it, don't yank. I mean, you got the control, so don't yank me off my own show. But I probably tend to agree with Eric's view a little more. I know what you're saying, but with that said, I did want to reach out to a couple of people real quick. Barry Broxman said, "Look at those legends." I mean, that is true. I think there are a couple legends on the show. Eric, the Pizza Man, Wes, the social media virtual world extraordinaire. Zach Biggie's on. Studs at best, truth. And Mark, I agree with Mark a lot, on a lot of things. Let's move on judiciously. Stop living in fear. I think that is important. I mean, I think we do. And I just haven't. Maybe I'll pay the price for it someday, but I kind of don't live in fear of too many things.
Well, and it's easy for me to run my mouth, Randy, because here's the thing that is pretty much the same, and that is this 2 years, when everybody sat down for that week, and watched Tiger King and thought it was going to go away in 2 weeks. The joke of it is, I mean, I'd like to tell you guys, different, but I'm wearing pajamas right now. I mean.
Yeah, you don't have a real good view of the world, Wes. You just stay in your war room, and
and that's
like
pretty
me and
much
Randy leave the house. So
yeah,
I don't. So
look, we have to get you out more. We've just got to.
Hey, I like it in the war room.
Yeah, well, but with all this said, aren't we? And I think this will be an interesting conversation, especially us three guys and a couple others that are on watching right now live. The good news, right? And Weston, now you and I talked about this an hour before the show, and Eric, we all talk about this all the time. Wherever this goes, whether it's gone, which would be cool, whether there's a hybrid of that or full on crap again, we're all hopefully or should be way better prepared to, I mean, we took, and I think Eric, you might have hit on it, we took astronomical leaps and bounds in our abilities to do our jobs, to do business, to conduct business. I mean, we went, I don't know, 10 years, 20 years into the future in 2 years, right? So whatever happens, even if Eric is 100% right and done, we still have learned so many things that we can take and use to just continually be better, even in that world, right? Or if it's a worst case and we go to Wes's maybe worst case scenario, us that have learned how to do this and people that have learned and picked up on things, we're way better prepared than we were going. We don't have to relearn that because we've already learned what to do, right? Is that, Eric, you're nodding. Do you agree with that?
I agree with what you said. And I think it's not necessarily about the way that we learn to do business, the way we went to business. I think a lot of it is the way people accept the way we come to them. Our consumers have realized that things have changed. That to me is the thing that I keep talking to people about. It's not the way that you go to business, the way you go to market. It's the way your consumers learn to accept the way that you're doing it. Because they could your consumer, Randy, could say, look, you come see us and bring donuts every time we do a sale, you've got to come see us. But they've learned, our consumers have all learned that they've got to change the way that we come to them, and they're okay with it. We all have to. You almost have to re-educate your customer a little bit on, look, this is how it's going to be from now on. Right. And I think sometimes that's kind of the big miss in my mind is not, we sometimes focus on, well, I'm not going to travel as much. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But it's really the willingness of our customers to accept it.
Right. It is. And if we would have tried to have driven this new model, if we will, 2 years ago, we'd all got tossed out the door, right?
Yeah.
Because which I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
But they knew that had to be. They was forced to accept it whether they wanted to or not, as we were forced to do it whether we wanted to or not. And so at the end of the day, as I look at it, is would it have been cool if none of this would have happened? Of course, nobody wanted this to happen. But sometimes things happen in life. That's part of the deal, right?
Yep.
What do you do with that? And I think we in the world of sales and the consumers in their world, and we're also in consumers also, right?
Yeah.
We've all learned to accept. I mean, if I went to my little pizza shop up in Michigan before we left to come back down here 2 years ago, and they got the lobby blocked off and said, no, you can't come in and sit down, and you can't get a glass of wine at the bar while you're waiting because all we have is enough servers to make your pizza to take it out, and you can't wait. You got to wait outside because we got no place to stand.
Yeah.
I'd have went into one of my circle dances. Are you kidding me? I'll never come back to your restaurant again in life.
And you've gone down the road.
Right. But now, what did I do? Oh, okay. I'll just order it to go right here. And if I can't get a wine at the bar, I'll go across the little wine bar across the street, have a glass of Cabernet, come back, set my watch for 35 minutes, right? So I've been trained as a consumer to accept the difference too, right?
Yep.
Wes, thoughts? You're looking deep in thought, or you froze? You're solid. You're sleeping.
No, I'm not froze at all. I again, guys, I want to reiterate. I don't want that stuff to rear its ugly head, but I think that, and I hate this term, this new normal. It's just what's normal right now. I mean, is the way to say it. But you just nailed the right on the head, and that is, you go into a place like that, and that is the way that it is now, and thus COVID's not over. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't be waiting. I just went to a Chinese restaurant, same exact thing. I mean, it's the dining room's not open. But
Wes, the dining room's not open because people have COVID. The dining rooms aren't open because they don't have staff. Because these people stayed home. That's why they're now the term the Great Resignation. You have all these people that they're just not going to go back to work.
I agree with you on that too. I don't disagree with that. I think that there's a major problem with that as well. But it's definitely in relation to the previous thing. It is because of COVID. Is
Sure.
all I'm getting at.
Well,
Uh,
it's cause and effect. I mean, it is
yeah,
the cause of it. It's
and I
the
think what you
effect.
said at the beginning, Eric, is 100% true. Zero doubt. The the commercial real estate world. When I see people opening up a brick and mortar right now, it scares me to death. I
Yeah.
mean, I just think to myself, man, you better have you better have some chops, ready, because you're gonna have the longest row to hoe ever. Yeah, I mean, as a brand new business, opening up. I mean, just it seems like if you can get away with something like this and do something virtual, you'd be a lot smarter. But I guess some things have to be, in person. But boy, I wouldn't do it right now.
Right.
I will tell you one of the other things I think one of the other long term effects of COVID, and I don't have stats or anything to back this up, but I think we all think that the current generation of kids, what are they, millennials or whatever, that they're not very good at socially interacting, right? Because they just all the time, text, all the time. And I think the other thing that's going to happen because of COVID now, more and more people are working from home, more and more people are remote, more and more people aren't getting out. I think you're going to see the next generation past millennials, like my 24-year-old son, when he starts having kids and those kids, you want to talk about people that have no social skills and it's going to be socially awkward. They're not going to make eye contact with you. And I think it's even more reason to teach and talk to our kids about how to act in public, not how to act, but how to be in public and how to talk to people and how to interact. Because people that have those skills 15 years from now, 20 years from now, are going to be rock stars. Because those skills are not going to be learned because people are not going to be leaving their house. Watch and see that happen.
I agree with you on that. I think that it's definitely going to be a problem. But so I got an even bigger problem than that. And I mean, this is one that we're going to probably have to wrap up with because it's going to be huge. And that is, if either of you watched the movie Caddyshack, I'm sure you have.
Oh yeah, a long time ago.
Okay, so you remember the line that Ted Knight says to the Danny as he's when he says that I've always thought about getting in the law and he says the world needs ditch diggers as well. And if you were to ask a kid right now what they want to be when they grow up, kids don't raise their hand and say they want to be a garbage man or a ditch digger. Whatever I'm sure both of you guys have. I can tell you I have. I've had some of the worst crappy jobs on the planet. Everything from the worst to the boardroom. And I just don't see those jobs. You think it's a problem with restaurants, but I mean, people don't want to do those jobs and they need to be filled. So it's going to be real interesting watching that because with these stimuluses and some of the things where people are kind of being given a living, uh, at some point it's got to stop. I mean, it's kind of like the world needs ditch diggers. They don't just need them; they have to have them. They need truck drivers. They need all the things that people don't want to do. Everyone can't be a Instagram influencer, so, which is what the kids think, and so they think that's what they're going to be, but the reality is, there has to be the other part. I remember one time my son saying to me, I thought about it, and I just want to do what you do, Dad. I want to be the boss. And I said, well, that's great. Let's see how that works out for you. My dad used to have a really, crude way of saying it. And he'd say, wish in one hand and do something else
the other,
and see which one gets full first. I'm a 53-year overnight success. I mean, it doesn't start off here, but that's how kids think these days. I'm just going to.
That is such an old man thing to say because you know what? Our parents used to say that crap about us, Wes. And their parents probably said that crap about them that, these kids, they don't know. Every generation is going to say that. I don't disagree with that, but I can tell you this: I can look at these three guys right now on this screen, and we all have some pretty damn good kids. So
Oh no, we do.
I don't want to write this whole next generation off. I will tell you that back to the whole not having social skills. Can you imagine 20 years from now, our kids are going to a freaking seminar taught by pick a guy who Tony Robbins is like, now, Randy, turn to Wes and shake his hand and say, how you doing? I know this feels awkward, but like that's the kind of crap kids are gonna have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
They're not all bad kids. I think we were told the same thing. Our parents thought we were gonna be awful, and look at us. But we're mildly awful.
Yeah. Well, I remember the great English invasion. I'm a little bit older than you guys.
Yeah.
And the world was ending because of rock and roll and the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, right? Their hair and their druggies, and it's over. You know, they're playing devil music, right? So, but I think there's two sides to that, too, is because I think what you're saying, Eric, Wes. I think kids are developing less in-person social abilities than they used to have. I think the winners in all this are going to be the people that hybrid between the two. I mean, you're going to have to be, because people your age, my age, we better continue to get better at these things, right?
Yep.
And whatever the next thing is, whatever that is, that we don't even know about yet, but it'll be in front of us next year, right? We better continue to get better at that, because these 20-year-olds now are going to be our customers. They're going to be the people we have to interface with on a regular basis. So we better be able to do it on their level, because that's the level they want. At the same token, I think the people still, even if it's nothing other than the shock value of wow, is that ability to walk into a group and just reach out and shake hands and say, guys, give me a bro hug. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Love it. Appreciate it. Right? So if we can learn to hybrid that stuff a little bit and learn both sides of it, because I think a big mistake is, and Wes, you said earlier, or Eric, you might have said, I hate the term normal, right? New normal, old normal, it's today normal. I think it is today normal. So I think my take is we better be able to continually massage that normal, because whatever we think, and Wes, you and I have been doing this thing, in a couple months will be a year into doing this show, right? I would have told you if you'd have brought this idea to me 2 years ago, I said, what are you talking about? I mean, we're getting on little boxes on some screen and talk to people around the country or the world. You're nuts, right? Now, if you called me in 20 minutes, like, bam, we had I had a snafu today. You reached out and bam, boom, just like that, he's on. Because people are becoming more accustomed to this as being normal. But my point of that is, this stuff that we're getting accustomed to, used to doing, us three on the screen right now, this will be old hat a year from now. We still may be doing it, but in different ways, different technologies, different ways of coming across, right? We'll still be doing virtual visual type things, because I think this is here to stay forever. But I guess my whole long approach to that is I think, and go back to what I said, circling back to what I said a couple minutes ago, we took a quantum leap into new things, a new future over the last 2 years. And anybody that thinks we're going back 100%, now I agree with what you said earlier.
I agree. I think COVID in a lot of business areas pushed us 12, 15 years ahead. Mm-hmm. It just did. And I like it.
I like where we're at. I'm happy with where we're at, because I'm ready for whatever comes. So that's a comfort level for me.
I'm just upset with myself at how much I disagree with Wes Wyatt today, because me and Wesley, Vivian Wyatt, we're normally like this. We're like this. Yeah. And all we did there was just disagree with each other. I feel dirty today, quite honestly.
And that's perfectly okay, man. The truth of the matter is, I hope I'm wrong. I don't want that stuff to happen. But I've become very untrusting in especially the way that things are kind of governed. It's scary. And by the way, guys, I want to let you know something. I'm in the social distancing, business. I mean, tape
Right.
and
This is
sign.
good for Wes. Wes is like, keep
This
it
has been
going.
the best 2 years in the world. I don't want it to continue for that reason. But I'm just telling you, if anybody wanted to continue, it'd be me for the social distancing and tape and sign side of it, not the people getting sick and
Right.
and expiring, but the social distancing part of it. I should be the number one fan of it. What I'm saying is that I just feel like since we've already been comfortably put into a box, I think that there's somebody that's doing this on top, and trying to figure out what the next way to do it is. And I have zero belief that they won't do something. That's all it is. I hope I give both of you guys a banana split and I get to sit there and watch you eat it.
We will, happily.
No doubt.
One quick thing before we wrap it up, and I thought about this before, and I don't know if we've ever discussed it together. We may have somewhere, sometime, our millions of chats we've all had, but the term social distancing, shouldn't that be physical distancing? And we're thousands of miles apart right now, and we're pretty social, are we not? Probably.
Yeah.
Within
Whoever
20
came
minutes.
up with that term when this all started really missed the mark on that, and it just got accepted. It should have been physical distancing, not social.
Because what you're saying to me is, I want to socialize with you. I just don't want to be 3 feet from you, right?
Yeah.
And that's always bugged me, because I always thought about that. And I'm not the one I've heard it someplace, and it's stuck in my head, is we've probably almost become more social than we ever were, just a different way.
Yeah.
But because I'm sure that we won't get through the weekend, and the three of us, for example, will not have shared numerous text minimum, messengers, quick videos with each other, because that's what we do, right?
Right.
So if anything, we've become more socially undistanced than ever. So it's physical. So I'm glad you agree with me on that, because I think it's just a weird term. I don't.
Well, I pretty much agree with you on everything. It's Wes that I have been very.
Well, it's even Wes. I see that.
But Wes doesn't leave Wes goes from the war room straight to the bedroom straight to the war.
With a quick stop,
just back and forth. That's all he does. He kitchen once a couple times a day, and just it's like a triangle.
I'm a lot more worldly than you're giving me credit for, but you're not far off.
Oh, good stuff. Well, guys, I know it's getting about 48 minutes in. We should probably wrap up. Russ, what do you think?
Not sound like a plan.
Can I just one thing?
Randy screwed up pretty good, huh?
Can I just throw out one thing?
Yes.
If you want to find happiness in your life, happiness can come from action. Take action. Too many people sit around and get paralyzed sitting on their couch, overthinking everything they could do, should do, might do, possibly do. Get up and take some action this weekend. Action can create happiness. That's my thought for the day.
Spot on, brother. Spot on. Bam, as always. Wes,
somebody's at my door.
Okay. Cheers.
See you later.
Now you can say all kinds of bad things about Eric if you want. He's gone.
Yeah. How dare he tell me I'm not worldly?
I know, because you're in the village of New Bremen. How much more worldly could you get than that?
Yeah, I don't even live in a town. I live in a village. What am I talking about?
Exactly. Yeah. You little country bumpkin.
I know, right? I only started wearing shoes last week.
Yes. Well, you did wear them when we was in Cincinnati together, which we did all appreciate, and that was pretty.
I would like you to let everybody know that I didn't wear overalls and have a big piece of straw sticking out of my mouth, according to Eric.
Love it. Good stuff, buddy. Well, Wes, as usual, my man, I appreciate all you do, and anybody that needs, tell people, let's do this, because you need a free advertising for a minute. 1 minute. Who is Wes Wyatt, and what do you do? Who should get a hold of you, and why should they get a hold of you?
I coach people to sell themselves and not what they sell, Randy. And if anybody wants to get in touch with me, they can simply go to Wes Wyatt Live and weswyatt.live. Go down to the bottom of the page. There is a thought bubble, and if you click on it, I'd be more than glad to answer any questions that you have. I don't monitor it, but I will get back with you in a very timely manner and either help you do what Randy and I are doing right now, which is doing a live show or a product or just marketing you as opposed to what you sell.
Perfect.
That's about
Well
it.
said. Well done. And I, yeah, you've become a great friend and a great brother. That's the best part. All the good stuff, because anybody that knows me will know that technology is about 756,000 steps down from my expertise. As I told you when we started, my camera isn't quite as good today because I was traveling this week back home to Florida, and I couldn't get my webcam hooked back up because that's something you would do in like about 13 nanoseconds, but that's kind of not me. So, and the key to that, and I'll end with, is don't let inabilities that you may have in yourself, right, or education or whatever it is that you're just not good at. Find somebody that's good at it and get them and team up, right? And that's what you and I did. There's no way I'd be doing these kind of things without you and the expertise you bring and keeping me out of trouble and the comfort level of knowing when we get on pre-show, we've had 2 or 3, 4, 5, 10, I don't know, issues, right, that nobody sees because we iron them out prior to the show, right?
Right.
If it was me trying to do this myself, it would just be over for the day. I'd say, I don't know, hey, Mark Gasser, who's been on our show, we're not doing it today because I don't know what to do, right? So there's a key sometimes to, I want people to hire me for my services, which is buying product that I help them buy and sell and make money on. So I think you have to learn sometimes, right, to know what you can't do and get the right people in place, and you are the man. So anyway, that's it. So we got a really cool, Wes, and really, I say cool because I'm going to say every one of our guests that we've ever had have been world class. Love them all equally. We've been some great people in the industry, out of the industry, some having nothing to do with the industry, but they bring some good value-added stuff, right? Which is what we're all about here. It's all about building wins, whether it's sales wins or construction industry wins or personal, spiritual, health and fitness, whatever. Wins are wins, right? But next week, a few weeks ago, I should go back a couple, 3 months ago, I had my younger son, Corey, on, and we talked metal roofing, which is he and I's love together that we have. So next week, we're going to have my older son, Eric, and he's going to be on, and we're going to chat about discipline versus motivation and whatever else we come up with. Eric is my son. He's my father of 2 of my 8 grandkids, and he's a United States Marine Corps combat vet, served proudly in Iraq. Thank you. That was awesome. But then what he learned from that and just athletics in school, he became a national record-holding power lifter. And then there he is. That's his record pull there. We'll talk about that when he's on next week. And so there's a bulk up and a motivation, but then the discipline to do what he had to do and to eat the 10,000 calories or whatever crazy thing a day and to lift heavy and do things. And Wes, after that, he goes, I want to try something different. So I'm going to be in a keto athletic, and it's funny because you and I talked about ketosis and the keto diet pre-show, but I'm going to enter in a physique contest, which is absolutely the opposite direction of what he was doing, and look at the difference there. And he did that, and probably, he'll tell us, I could be slightly off, but 8-10 months, probably, something like that. And you don't do all that from just motivation. You got to be motivated to want to do it, but right, Wes, you got to have the discipline every day. And those are two. And what I find interesting, and I'm so proud of what he's done, and I find that's going to be interesting to people, is that's about as far in the athletic world from each other as you could possibly get. And that transition from one to the other is probably the most impressive thing. Not just what he accomplished doing it, but the fact that he was able to be disciplined and stay motivated to do those. So anyways, long story version is, assuming I haven't messed up that with him, but I checked with him today, so I know we're on next week. We'll have a good chat with Eric, and we'll go from there. And I did send him a note and said, you got to mention what a great dad I am. So if he doesn't, Wes, you send him a chat offline because that's really important. Anyway, that's it. Anything else, brother?
That's all I got for you, man.
All right. Folks, thanks again for being on. Appreciate it. Remember what I always say. Live it, love it, own it. You only get to go around once and make it today. There it is. Who wrote that? Oh, I did. Make today your best day ever. Until tomorrow. Let's go. Cheers, all.